everybody, this is Archita and I welcome you all to my channel Pharmacopedia and I hope that you all are doing well. So आज के वीडियो में मैं डिस्कस करने वाली हूँ ऑटोकॉइड्स के बारे में, that what is autocoids and the classification of autocoids, and after that I'll be discussing about histamines, its synthesis, storage, release and destruction or the metabolism of histamine in detail. So let's start the video. But before starting the video, do subscribe to my channel Pharmacopedia for more such educational videos. Okay, talking about autocoids. So what is autocoid? So the term autocoid is derived from the Greek word autos, which means self, and the eikos, which means the healing substances or the remedy. Okay, so autocoids are basically the diverse substances which has been released by a wide variety of cells. Remember that the autocoids are released from a wide variety of cells and they possess intense biological activity. With the term intense, what I actually mean is that they possess a wide variety of activity within the body, and they act locally at the site of synthesis or release. What it means is that the autocoids produce their actions at the site where they are released or synthesized, and therefore they are termed as local hormones, or autocoids are also known as local hormones. This point is very important, so I am star marking it. Yes, so this is about the autocoids. So the first point what you need to remember is that the autocoids are the diverse substances. They produce intense biological activity, they act locally, and therefore they are known as local hormones. Okay, so but do not get confused between the autocoids and the hormones. Both of the substances are totally different. So there are basically two major differences between the autocoids and the hormones. जैसा कि आप स्क्रीन पर देख सकते हैं, there is a table differentiating between the autocoids and the hormones. So as when we are talking about the hormones, they produce their actions at a distant target cells. What it means is that they can be transported through the circulatory system or circulation, and then they produce their actions at the distant target cells. But talking about the autocoids, they produce their action locally. Also, the second point that differentiates both the substances is that the autocoids are synthesized or they are being produced by a wide variety of cells, but when we are talking about hormones, they are being produced by specific target cells. So this is the two major differences between the autocoids and the hormones. Moving ahead to the classification of autocoids. So autocoids are basically classified into three categories. The first one is the amine autocoids. So histamine, 5-hydroxytryptamine, also known as serotonin, are the amine autocoids. The second one is the lipid derived autocoids. So within this, the prostaglandins, leukotrienes and the platelet activating factor lies. Talking about the third one, that is the peptide autocoids. So plasma kinins, that is the bradykinin, calidin and the angiotensin are the peptide autocoids. Also, I would like to tell you that in addition, cytokines, that is the interleukins, tumor necrosis factor alpha and several other peptides such as the gastrin, somatostatin and the vasoactive intestinal peptide may also be considered as autocoids. So this was all about the classification of autocoids. So we are done with autocoids and its classification. Moving ahead to the histamine. So what is histamine? So histamine is basically an amine autocoid. As you have seen in the classification that histamine belongs to the category of amine autocoid. Why? Because histamine consists amine in its structure, and yes, histamine can also be termed as tissue amine. Why? Because the term histos means tissue, and therefore histamine is also known as tissue amine. And yes, talking about the third point, that histamine is inactive orally. Yes, histamine is inactive orally. Why? Because once it gets absorbed from the intestine and reaches the liver degrades histamine, or histamine gets degraded in the liver. So that's why it is inactive orally. Talking about the fourth point, which is very important, that histamine is positively charged. Okay, so because the histamine is positively charged, it is complexed with the negatively charged or acidic protein or the heparin, and this is how it is held in the granules of the mast cell. So this was all about the histamine. Talking about the synthesis and the destruction of histamine. So this is the structure of histamine, and it consists the amine group, and to the amine group the alpha carbon is attached and the beta carbon is attached. This one is the beta carbon. Okay, so now you can see that to the beta carbon the imidazole ring is attached. So what you can say that histamine is a beta imida zolyl ethyl amine. Okay, and so therefore histamine is also termed as beta imidazolyl ethyl amine, because to the beta carbon the imidazolyl ring is attached. Okay, talking about the synthesis, so histamine has been synthesized from the amino acid histidine, and histidine consists of the amino group and the carboxylic group. So the major difference between the two, as you can see here, that the histidine consists of the carboxylic group, but this has been removed. This has been removed to form the histamine. So what happens is histidine, in the presence of histidine decarboxylase, forms histamine, and this carboxyl group is being released in the form of CO2. Okay, so now talking about the metabolism or the destruction of histamine. This histamine then, with the process of methylation or oxidation, oxidation gets metabolized to N-methyl histamine and imidazole acetic acid respectively. That is, histamine in the presence of N-methyl transferase gets converted into N-methyl histamine, and N-methyl histamine in the presence of MAO, that is monoamino oxidase, gets converted into methyl imidazole acetic acid. Also, histamine can get converted into imidazole acetic acid in the presence of diamine oxidase. So this is about the synthesis and destruction of histamine. Okay, moving ahead to the storage of histamine, or where the histamine is stored. So histamine is basically stored within the granules of mast cell, and this is a very important point, that histamine is present or stored within the granules of mast cell. The second point is that the tissue which are rich in histamine are skin, lungs, liver, placenta, gastric and the intestinal mucosa. So these are the tissues which are rich in histamine. Talking about the third point, that is the non-mast cell which access histamine are brain, epidermis and the growing regions. Also, I would like to tell you that the histamines are also present in blood and the pathological fluids, or the body fluids and the body fluids. Okay. So this was all about the storage of histamine. And yes, when talking about the functions of histamine, so I will be discussing about the functions of histamine in the pharmacological in its pharmacological actions, which I will be discussing in the upcoming lectures. But yes, histamine causes the bronchoconstriction, it causes the marked release of the gastric secretion, and it does not penetrate the blood-brain barrier. Remember, this one is the important, that histamine does not penetrate the blood-brain barrier, so it has no effect on the CNS. Okay. Finally, we will be looking how the histamine is being released. So this is the figure, and this shows how the histamine is being released from the granules of the mast cell when there is an antigen-antibody reaction taking place within the body. Okay, so this is the mast cell, and to the outer membrane of the mast cell, the Fc epsilon receptor is attached. As you can see here, the receptor is attached to the outer membrane of the mast cell. And so in an atopic sensitized individual, remember that in an atopic sensitized individual, the specific reagent, that is IgE antibody or immunoglobulin E, gets attached to this receptor. Okay, so in the presence of the antigen, what antigen causes? It causes the bridging. It causes the bridging of the immunoglobulin E, and due to this the tyrosine protein kinase gets activated, and due to its activation the PIP2 gets hydrolyzed to IP3. So this activated tyrosine protein kinase causes the hydrolysis of PIP2, that is phosphatidyl inositol biphosphate, to IP3, which is inositol triphosphate. Okay, so now what IP3 does is, IP3 promotes the intracellular release of calcium ions, and this calcium ion plays a very important role because it causes the fusion of the granule. This one is the granule, and within this granule the histamine is stored. Okay, so this calcium ion promotes the fusion of the granule to the outer membrane or to the plasma membrane of the mast cell. But the most important thing which you need to remember is that histamine is positively charged, and so it is complexed with the negatively charged protein or the negatively charged heparin, and this is how it has been held within the granules. So how the histamine is released? So now what happens is, sodium or calcium sets free the histamine. How? The histamine gets exchanged with sodium or the calcium or any cation, and this is how the histamine is being set free. And now after the release, histamine promotes its produces its action. So this is all about the release of histamine. I will be telling you it again in a short way. So this is the mast cell, and to the outer membrane of the mast cell, the Fc epsilon receptor is attached, and in an atopic sensitized individual, the IgE antibody gets attached to this receptor, and in the presence of an antigen, the bridging of the IgE occurs, and this leads to the activation of the tyrosine protein kinase, and due to its activation, PIP2 gets hydrolyzed to IP3. IP3 results in the release of the calcium ion. This calcium ion leads to the fusion or the exocytosis of the granules or the histamine, and further the histamine, and histamine is set free when any cation or the sodium, such as the calcium or the sodium, gets complexed with the protein in place of histamine. And I hope that this is clear to you. So अब तक हमने क्या क्या देख लिया? अब तक हमने पढ़ा कि ऑटोकॉइड्स क्या होते हैं, its classification, and after that we have learned what is histamine, how the histamine is synthesized in the body, and where they are stored, and finally we have learned how they are released from the body when there is an antigen antibody interaction, and we have also seen how the histamine is being destructed or destroyed in the body. And I hope that this video is clear to you, and in case of any queries, make sure that you ask in the comment section below. And yes, एक बहुत ज़रूरी बात जो मैं आप सबको बताना चाहूँगी वो ये है कि I will be asking some questions in the comment section related to this video. Make sure that you answer it in the right way, and yes, the students who will be answering it in the most right way, I will be taking his or her name in my upcoming videos. So make sure that you're the one. Yes. So this was all for this video, and yes, in my upcoming videos I will be telling or discussing the pathophysiological role of histamine, the pharmacological actions of histamine, and the histamine receptors. So till then, stay tuned, and yes, thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and share it with all your friends, and share as much as you can, as it is free. So yes, thank you. Till then, take care.